This Japanese client you mentioned, you could be billing them about $1 million a year. How do you approach such a client and what's the playbook like?
We're a multi-million dollar ARR company. Right? 70% of this revenue comes from partners. WC is a partner. Deloitte, Accenture, IBM, HPE is a partner. Now, what do these partners actually help us to do is that they go ahead and sell a multi-million dollar piece to Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 100 companies. The moment you start understanding how these large players, cutting companies are selling 10 million, 15 million, 20 million part of a deal. That's the interesting part, that can we plug into one solution enablers in that massive transformation what they sell. I know for a fact that all my partners, when they're pitching like at a 50, 80, even 200% premium. So rather than me chasing my customers directly, I develop a very good relationship with these partners, because these partners are essentially elephants in their own right. I had this whole funny thing. It is a snuck at the D2C companies. The only person who celebrates more than the D2C founder when they get funded is Meta, because it's like new goat on the rise who's gonna spend blindly on Instagram or Meta.
Yeah. Welcome to Edbound with Kenner Omkar. It's lovely to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much for having in. I have seen a few of your episodes, few of the snippets, and I think I'm very happy that I am one of these illuminaries which you have a conversation with. So thank you so much for having me.
No, lovely. So Supervity seems like a brilliant platform. All kinds of agents possible on the internet. You've kind of tapped into so many trends and capabilities of great platforms that offer these disjointed pieces. From RAGs to voice agents to taxation agents. I think you name it, and Supervity kind of solves it all. So I would love to hear from you. How do you explain your product? Let's say I'm Sequoia, or I'm going to put a big check in your company. How would you explain your product to an investor, or let's say a customer who's going to possibly pay a few $1 million?
Yeah, customer, right? Like if I'm pitching to a Fortune 50 or a Fortune 100 company, right? In fact, I was just doing that about an hour ago. We're pitching to one of the biggest companies in Europe, and this was the question, right, where we introduced ourselves, that what exactly does Supervity do? In very simple words, we help you build AI agents through English, right? English is the new programming language for Supervity. Think one of the strongest positions we come from is that you can visualize it, you can build it, right? So be it any kind of a complex to a simple workflow, all I have to do is, as if we both are chatting over here, right? That, oh, we got an inbound lead, we want to qualify it, we want to see whether it matches our ICP or not. If it does, assign it to Omkar. If we kind of think it is, assign it to, let's say, Ria. And based on that, just search my Google Drive and send relevant collaterals, relevant case studies to that person, right? Now, this is, if a person has to do it, it's fairly complex, right? Like lead scoring, then going, researching about the customer, understanding, do we have any existing customers in our CRM, mapping that, finding a case study if it is there, sending it across, and updating a CRM. So this entire thing is about a 45, 50-minute kind of a workflow where it can be easily done by 5 minutes of just simple prompting in English, and it happens on repeat. So Supervity is that AI agent platform which everybody from entrepreneurs to large enterprises can build custom agents for themselves just by simple English.
Wow, that's quite a big list of capabilities, and I think it's brilliant to kind of see a platform stitching all the things that organizations could really transform their workflows with. And I love it because I'm always trying to hack any process within our company and trying to stay lean, get better, take humans out of the equation as much as you can, because you can have dependable repeatability with all these agents. So I love that. Now, my goal usually that I like to achieve when I have these discussions with people who are at the helm of affairs in fast growing SaaS B2B companies or building these playbooks around GTM, I want to learn what makes your go to market tick. How is it structured? What are the channels? Before I do that, I think the important question to ask is, when you usually onboard a client, I know based on my conversations with you earlier, I know that you've cracked some really large clients, Fortune 100, Fortune 500. So this Japanese client you mentioned, you could be, billing them about $1 million a year. Is that right? So that's the scale we are talking about. And if that is the scale, how do you approach such a client, and what's the playbook like? What is your entire process? And I'm going to stop you and try to peel off all the layers here. That's the idea.
Yeah, so, there is this one very, very underrated layer. A lot of people in B2B SaaS do not know, firstly, that how innovative their product is. That's number one. Okay. We, unfortunately, founders, we de facto suffer from imposter syndrome, right? And we kind of undervalue the technology, what we are building. Now, what is happening, and one of my biggest 70% of our revenue, and we're a multi-million dollar ARR company, right? 70% of this revenue comes from partners, right? And what do I mean by partners is essentially all the big boys, right? Like, I'll give you examples of our partner. WC is a partner. Deloitte is a partner. Accenture is a partner. IBM is a partner, right? HPE is a partner. Now, what do these partners actually help us to do is that they go ahead and sell a multi-million dollar piece to Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 100 companies, right? And they're great at selling, right? We will never be able to, at the current stage where we are at, we'll never be able to punch above our weight when we are talking to these Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies. And one of the other thing is the naivety which comes where we are pricing it, right? Sometimes we think 80K deal, 100K deal, 200K deal. Because when we started, that used to be our pre-seed amount, right? So we're like, "Arey, ek deal ka pre-seed amount we got, that is fantastic." But the moment you start understanding how these large uh, players, consulting companies are selling 10 million, 15 million, 20 million part of a deal. That's the interesting part, that can we plug into one solution enablers in that massive transformation what they're selling. Because how much ever we are able to sell our product, I know for a fact that all my partners, when they're pitching like at a 50, 80, even 200% premium. So the whole idea started becoming is that rather than me chasing my customers directly, my big customers directly, I develop a very good relationship with these partners, because these partners are essentially, elephants in their own right, and they can't dance.
I
Their
mean, it's a
innovations.
dream situation to be in, Omkar, and I want to peel the layer just a little bit more before you kind of go deeper into how this relationship is built. The big question, I'm pretty sure everybody listening to this is thinking right now, I am, let's say, 100, somebody would be at a 500,000 kind of a ARR. Is that still the position that you could go and find a partner like a Microsoft and AWS, or the guys that you're talking about? And if yes, how do they approach it?
Yeah, no, great question, right? So I think these companies, right? Like, say for example, we work with Microsoft, okay, and I'm fine being candid about it. We work with Microsoft, and we also have a competing product with Microsoft. Okay, Microsoft Copilot, we go head on with them. Right, Microsoft Copilot, Power Automate, these are the two products we go head on with it. But still, at the same time, Microsoft is such a ocean, right? It's humongous that their various departments have various agendas, right? And for them, whichever company will help them achieve that agenda the fastest, agenda, quota, whatever you want to call it, that is going to get cherry picked. So it doesn't matter that you're a 100K company, a 50K company, a half a mil ARR company. There are three ways I look at building a relationship with the partner. Number one is, look at, and I'll show you a tool for it, right? It just coming down to deep research, right? That where exactly are these partners pitching towards, right? And it's very easy to find out what are their focus areas, right? Digital transformation itself is a very vague and a broad term.
Yeah.
But what within digital transformation? Are we talking about financial transformation? Within financial transformation, are we talking about accounts payable, accounts receivable? And it's very easy to see that, where I'm able to see that, the hiring for these positions, because what happens is they are billing FTEs at the end of the day. Wherever you see an FTE overload, and that's a hack what I'm sharing, right? Wherever you see an FTE overload hiring on Indeed, on Monster or Naukri, if it is in India, right? You're able to see that, they have won a bunch of big clients around this. Whenever
Okay,
they have,
let's
yeah,
let's simplify FT for people who are watching.
full
And
full-time employees, right?
So when you are hiring, I mean, you're using it as a trigger. Let's just make it easier for guys to understand what you just said, and I'm going
Yeah,
to, elaborate on that. So you're saying as a trigger in the GTM world, it's called a trigger.
yeah.
You're kind of analyzing the triggers whenever the hiring kind of ramps up with one of these guys. You know that there's a big client onboarded. Is that how you are
Yeah.
kind of using the trigger? Okay.
Yeah,
And at that point, what happens? What's the next step?
so it's easy to connect the dots around that, right? That either this large partner has landed up on a new customer in our enterprise sales world, we call it a whale. That they've gone whale fishing, right? They've landed a whale, and in order to service that whale, they have to hire a bunch of like an army of people, right? Because their contract value is on FTEs most of the time. Right now, once that is done, it is easy to kind of start picking up pieces within that. That is there, and when you know for a fact it might be a 10 million, 20 million deal, now the over reliance on their team is something what you will observe that they're not mostly in favor of, right? And it's in constant pursuit of innovation, because let's say for example, I have landed a big company. My next best move is land and expand. Land and expand is essentially that I'm trying to increase my ARR
Yeah.
within that
Go in
particular.
with a smaller ticket and
Yeah.
eventually kind of grow and offer more solutions.
Yeah, correct. So my CLTV, my lifetime value of the prospect of my customer starts increasing. Right now, in order for my CLTV to increase, I cannot be serving my customer the same food. And over here is where they're looking out for different types of solutions. Because again, these are consultants, they get into consultative selling. They're trying to peel the layers of all the problems and try to provide problems, because they want to be a one stop shop. Now, once they're becoming a one stop shop, this is the opportunity for younger startups, especially who are trying to eye large enterprises, to start off kind of tag along with these guys, partner along with these guys, and sell forward a solution. You know for a fact that they're going to put it on a premium and then sell it forward. That's going to happen irrespective. So that's the first part. The second part is education, and third part is enablement, right? Education. There's a very good, nice podcast called Edbound. You should check it out. So education in terms of that, for example, we always keep publishing what all can we do for Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 2000 companies all the time. Our entire narrative is around that, right? So for example, the one thing what we're looking at is shoring, right? And that's become our entire GTM positioning. AI shoring is nothing but, you must have heard of offshoring, where you were offshoring some key things back in India. Well, now the opportunity lies in AI shoring. So the moment we started talking about AI shoring, a lot of partners picked it up. They're like, okay, this is interesting. Let me go and sell this AI shoring proposition to my customer. Right. And the third is enablement, and also a little bit of timing. Like the space where we are in, I think nothing is hotter in the current scenario than being in the AI agent space. And thankfully, AI agent space has been validated well enough, unlike maybe what happened in Web3 and the likes before.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no comparison, but yeah, you're absolutely right.
It's fairly validated space, and we're doing a lot of enablement, right? So for example, with our partners, we are setting up a center of excellence with our partners within their organization, where we are training those people on our platform so that they can be more confident in servicing their customers.
So I want to kind of just dial down from, journey perspective. You went from like signing them up, getting them to be onboarded, and then going to, kind of train them and empower them. Let's stick to the bit about signing them up, right? I mean, if you're a $50,000, $100,000 ARR company, you're right that, have confidence in your product, look for the signal. So that's a playbook around how do you kind of figure out. Now, I know that as a matter of fact, Azure and certain other platforms, they run their program. So is the best bet to enter through the applications of those market entry programs if you're using the cloud? Because I know that if you're not on an Azure cloud, they don't pitch you to their partners. And I'm sure if I open the playbook for Accenture, I mean, do they have a structured program like that? And is the best bet to discover that program and reach out to them? Or is it a cold call? Is it a meeting, LinkedIn request? How do you how do you break the ice and open the account?
Yeah. So, I have a bad answer for this. Why do I say a bad answer is that, there was no kind of a, how do I say this, like a cold LinkedIn message or a playbook to be built
Okay.
around it.
Sure.
Our co-founder Vijay is my co-founder. He earlier was leading partnerships for Tech Mahindra in the US. So he had a huge kind of
Yeah, that's a
connection. And he literally knew how partners, because he himself was a partner for a lot of other startups, right? So he knew how to select certain startups and take those startups to large
yeah.
companies.
I mean, investors like to call it a right to win, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it just kind of tilts the odds in favor of your organization. But, I'm trying to learn it for guys where somebody like that is not a part of the team.
So
Is it still possible? The
yeah,
big question is it still possible, Omkar? That's
yeah.
what everybody wants to know.
Yeah, actually, the answer is in the question, right? You got to get that person on the team, right? A person who has, and again, if you, one thing what I've realized, even in my previous startup, this current company, if your product is compelling enough, you are able to attract these individual stakeholders who will evangelize you further,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Now, for example, in my previous company, we had raised some grants from Accenture, right? And even though after raising grants from Accenture, the market access, right? Again, Accenture is a notion, right? Market access did not really translate that much because there is so much silos within these large organizations. I'm not kind of pinpointing on Accenture, but in such large organizations, there is so much silos that it becomes very difficult. But the best way over here is to find one partner, right? All you have to do is get one partner to evangelize you, and then partner to partner recommendations work the best, right? Like I'll give you an example. We're working with one of the big fours in a very deep capacity, and they have about 150 200 odd partners in the country right now, and globally also they have about 800 to 1000 odd partners. Now once a partner picks up the phone and says that, hey, I've worked with this company, they're doing very well for us, this customer saved, you want to pitch it to your customers, they have some other thing, right? And that just works brilliantly. The entry point is that one successful meeting demo with one one partner or one influential person at this, or you go the other way around. If you have raised investments, your investors, as much as they want to say that they're helpful or whatever, I hope they're helpful, ask them to get you connected to that one influential person in the partner network. And there are not a lot of companies, there are maybe 15 to 20 odd companies globally, right? Like you have the top guys like BCG, McKinsey, right? They have their own digital consulting arm.
Yeah.
That's the best place to actually, for all enterprise SaaS, to start talking to them. A lot of times people do this mistake, and I did this mistake big time in my previous company as well, is think that they are your customers, right? They're not your customer. All these big companies, partners, are purely to sell and execute, right? So a naive thing is to go ahead and sell them your solution. But a better thing is to say that, hey, you know what? You're a partner of this. I'm going to add your top line by at least 1 million. This is my solution. I know I can sell it for 500K, but if you brand it alongside you, I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure it's going to get a 2 million one. That's the best pitch out there, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
if this is the pitch which is landing into an inbox, then there are going to be years for it, right? That we have built this XYZ solution. You are currently servicing A, B, C, D, E customers. We are trying to reach out to them. But if we go together, the deal size would increase by X%, Y%.
No, great pitch. I think I can see playbooks being built around that. I mean, in my previous consulting company, we had jointly pitched, to certain organizations alongside ENY. And I tasted what you're talking about. I mean, obviously, I didn't go kind of quite deep into this because at that point it was services in a certain sector and, they don't scale like a product could. One big question comes here is a lot of people would think, isn't it on shaky grounds? I mean, if your partner was introduced to a Fortune 500, if they find another play toy tech, aren't they going to replace you within that organization because they hold the key to that door?
That is true, but I think the same argument you can apply to your customer as well, right? It again comes down to relationship building,
Yeah,
right?
but that's your relationship. Here you have a, kind of a ground that's rented, basically. I mean, it's a different play altogether.
So again, first thing is that the partners, all these large companies, they are not loyalists, right? They're not adopted you, right? But at the same time, the moment we or your company is deployed at a customer's place, right, then they have most definitely adopted you, right? So in the pitching part and everything, so for example, I always go with my partners to pitch, right? I always go over there to start talking to them all the time. But the moment I know my product is deployed, the relationship just goes to the next level. So
Yeah.
it is about the first deployment. Once first deployment is done, then it's like a very sturdy relationship. Then they can't just plug you out and get somebody in, because systems are established, trust is like, now it matters to their customers.
All right. No, I think fair bit, and one extension to the outreach would also be where I have a question for you. Do you believe that these kind of partner outreach campaigns could be launched through an outbound, let's say a LinkedIn driven or a outbound email driven activity? I mean, I know it's possibly an ABM sort of an approach where you know that there are only 15 guys who could possibly partner with you. So you possibly try and, kind of triangulate the key decision makers in your vicinity. Obviously there are other ways you spoke about that, go through your investors or go through your partners or other people that are in your, connection list. But yeah, do you believe something like an outbound could work in this case as well?
Yeah, the it's an interesting thing, right? Like, I'll tell you a hack, okay, which works. You don't go to the partners on the first conversation, you go to a partners on the second conversation. What do I mean by that is, let's say I'm pitching to a Fortune 500 company directly, and they've seen interest. Now, the reason why a Fortune 500 company doesn't want to work with a 100K ARR startup is no trust. If they go belly up tomorrow, everything's gone, right? But the moment I talk to a Fortune 500 company and they have shown interest, after that, I will go talk to a partner, that saying that, hey, you know what? I'm talking to this large organization. They have shown interest in my solution. Would you like to be my implementation partner? Right.
Interesting.
So it's already 90% there. The 10% trust deficit can be easily covered when I say that, hey, you know what? I have a big, large company as an implementation partner. Right. And the moment we get them in, or you get them in as an implementation partner, you don't have to worry about, are you short selling or not? Right. Because they will build all those. And again, for you, implementation is more important. Selling is
Yeah.
not difficult, to be very honest. I think, because we sell on a lot of, de facto salespeople over promise. Right. But the moment you have some trustworthy name coming in and implementing it for you, I think that works. We've done that. It's worked. It worked wonders.
No, I hear you. I think fantastic idea there, and I mean, I could it kind of just switched on bulb in my head for one of the conversations that I am having with a very large client.
Mhm.
I want to go to the pricing part also, but before that, let's just talk about the other GTM, let's say arsenal based elements that you utilize within your organization. So understand that partners is one of them. What else is there?
So, we're dog fooding. I'll show this tool right now. It's a tool which I'm very excited about. It's a prospect pre-research tool, right? A lot of times, see what happened, and sorry, yeah, my bad. So what happened is that if you are pitching to especially a large organization, right, you can't just go into a large organization and have a discovery call. Discovery call is good for mid-size organizations and everything. Over here, when I'm pitching to a large organization, I don't know what's the word for kundali, but I should know their entire, everything about that company in my regard, right? And that's very important, and that takes a lot of time, but it's a hard work which is well rewarded later, right? Because I exactly know what pain point should I be talking about, because over there I'm talking at some different level of consultative sales. I'm not going ahead and blabbering about my product. This is my demo, this is what we do, these are our use cases. That's like low level selling. But the moment, especially when I'm talking to leadership, right, I exactly know what are their pain points. I have read their annual report. Okay, I have read their financial spending. I have understood what exact movements have happened in the company. I have captured all the buying signals. And then I know for a fact that if I pitch this, who should I be pitching to? What should I be talking around? And how can I actually scale this over the next 1 year, 2 year, 3 year? When you're selling enterprise, you're always selling 3 year contracts. So how can I actually scale this to a multi-million dollar contract in about 3 years, right? So this kind of a deep research takes hell lot of time, right? At least
Huh.
takes about 3 days to 5 days to read through the report, to understand it, so on and so forth, right? And this was our process all the time, right? If you are pitching to a Fortune 500 company, a
But now
Fortune
perplexity and a certain amount of other AI driven tools can help you kind of cut short, right?
a little bit, right? But again, they are not kind of custom built. What I'm saying, right? So
Yeah, I've used Clay for this as well. I mean, like they say, enrichment as well as deep research,
mhm.
persona mapping. I mean, I would love to. Are you kind of showing
Yeah, yeah.
something?
Let me try to fire something up. This is just a small little demo. I'll just fire up. Tell me a large company, let's say in terms of Nourish, what you what you want to pitch.
So let's just say we were pitching to, I'm thinking what kind of a TG would you want to look at? Let's just say we were pitching to NHS, the National Health Service of UK, right?
No, they are not listed. They are in healthcare, and yeah, this is a public company, right? Okay.
It's actually a governmental organization.
Okay, let's see if it creates for government organization. And it'll take about 3 to 4 minutes for it to generate report. So we'll come back and it'll send me a mail when it is
Okay.
done. And there's only one company in the world which is called Norish, right? KNORISH.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There's only one person who's called Kinner Sachdev in the world. We're called Edbound now. It's a new entity specifically
Mhm.
working to serve mid-market, large enterprises, organizations in
Mhm.
kind of cracking their GTM, not through an inbound or an outbound method, but an Edbound method. And that's why the podcast is called Edbound with Kinna. So, the whole idea comes from there. But yeah, fantastic. I think research plays a very powerful kind of role. So if I, in the toolkit of GTM leaders, marketeers, there are things like we are constantly running ads. We are maybe using outbound. We are basically focusing a lot on SEO. So there's a bullseye sort of a matrix
Yeah.
that a lot of companies like to apply. So if I were to get you to list the constant motions, would they be centered around beyond the partners
Yeah.
through an outbound?
Yeah, so it depends on the ICP we are targeting, right? Like, and right now, considering our solution suite is so horizontal, naturally our customers are also, my ICP is also very horizontal, right? Then there are the usual suspects, right? For example, I would always put my marketing budget into events and conferences than into
Wow.
advertising, right?
So that's a powerful one. I've met a lot of AI companies. We're talking to one of the prospective clients. Events is a big one for AI space, right?
Somebody else is doing all the hard work of getting you
Yeah.
the lead, getting them over there. All you have to do is show up and like just give up a fantastic presentation, right? You are able to build connections right then and there rather than, advertising for me to a large extent is still pray and spray, right? Because
Mm,
it's a multifaceted process, right? I first have to think of a campaign. After I think of a campaign, I have to think of all the creatives around it. Then
yeah.
I have to pay boatloads of money. I had this whole funny thing. It is a snuck at the D2C companies which are coming out of India, is that the only person who celebrates more than the D2C founder when they get funded is Meta. Because it's like new goat on the rise, so who's gonna spend blindly on Instagram or
Yeah.
Meta.
Yeah.
So then you have to think of the campaign. After you think of the campaign, you have to spend a lot of money. You're going to get the lead, do a lead scoring on them. After you
Yes.
do lead scoring, you're going to hope some demos are booked. So, advertising for me, great branding exercise, great capturing eyeballs exercise. Any ROI out of that, and, work for multiple companies. ROI coming out from LinkedIn ads or even regular Meta ads, tough. But I would rather again invest in niche, right? Like for example, I would go ahead and sponsor a newsletter for
Mhm.
from a very vertical, right? Let's say we target a lot of healthcare companies in the US, right? They're great healthcare communities. Either I'll go sponsor a breakfast for them or I'll sponsor their newsletter for them, right?
Wow.
That I think is dollar well spent than aggressive this spray and pray advertising, or a lot of people call it performance advertising, right, or performance marketing. So that's something which is in our motion, which is events is an important part. We spend considerable amount of money on events of our marketing budget. The other thing what we're doing is invest again. I'm coming back to the partner part. We spend a lot of money on partner enablement.
Mhm.
The partner exactly knows. There are no Chinese whispers to what we are telling the partners and what the partners are telling the customers. And the third thing is content, right? And I think even Edbound is completely circled around that, right? I think
Oh,
we
yeah,
want.
absolutely. And I mean, we're glad to be kind of in the process of onboarding you with the
Yeah,
strategy as well. But
correct.
here, I want to talk about something that we've had a conversation with this large client around the events playbook itself, and I would ask you a few more questions around your event playbook because I do believe that there's a difference between a naive first time marketer going to an event versus someone who's seasoned and
Mm.
they squeeze every last bit out of that event, like, I mean, the entire juice that that could give. And there's a huge difference between these two mindsets. But just to kind of come back to the genesis point of it, we are helping one of the very large companies, again, a Japanese conglomerate right now, where they have a complete event playbook. That's the only GTM that works for them. They go to AI events, and it's a good solution, not exactly horizontal, but a very pinpointed solution. Every time they meet 500 people in events, they put them into their Edbound funnel. So they get like good educational content even before they have expressed their interest to be customers, or even if they know that we don't know if there are prospects out of this, because on your stall, or when you're speaking, you could be generating 700, 1000 leads. So they qualify, they nurture, they put them, move them from top of the funnel to bottom of the funnel with everything that they have to do through an Edbound strategy. But now my question is centered around, how do you what is your playbook around events? Do you like to pick up speaking slots? Do you pick up stalls? Do both? How do you make sure? One of the big problems, and I'll give the podium to you just after this question. One of the things that I feel people do wrong at events, and I've visited some of the best company stalls at Jitex and in shows, London Tech Week and so many other places. I don't get approached for 6 months by some of the companies, some of the largest companies, even after they meet me at the event. It's not that I'm not attractive or, you know, there's something wrong in the lead. It's just the experience for a lot of people. What's your playbook to make sure it's effective?
Yeah. So this has also come from a lot of like trial and error and burning our hands, right? We have stopped going to horizontal events, right? Where people are coming there. So there are two reasons why your prospect is attending an event. Number one is out of curiosity that, hey, what's happening in the market? Let me stay myself educated, right? They'll visit 20, 30 booths. They will collect all the information, stay updated. And until and unless there's a very compelling solution, the phone's not going to get picked, the email's not going to get responded, right? But then there's this second type of customers, second types of people who are attending event, and these are very pinpointed solution seekers, right? They have come to identify a solution. They have come with a problem statement. They
You
don't
mean
want
a vertical event, like a vertical specific event? So give me a couple of examples.
right. So, for example, we sponsor right now, for example, next week in the Bay Area, there's an event called Connect House, right? And Connect House is only for procurement, AI and procurement. That's it.
Wow, that's a great insight.
So, we are doing that with Connect House. We are sponsoring it and we have a booth over there. And I know that who is my ICP, right? And what exact preparation I have to do for that ICP. We are headlining an event in Dallas on 8th of June, which is called IA. IA is Intelligent Automation, right? Now, I know for a fact that intelligent automation is everybody in the automation space is going to come over there. So the moment we look at AI, say, let's say,
Hmm.
for example, in Dubai, next week, there's the AI week, which is happening.
Yeah,
We will not participate in these kind of events, right? Because it's super horizontal
it is.
and it is very difficult. And again, our energy is limited at these events, right? And the problem is that you can't shoo away anybody from the booth the moment mentally we are doing a lead scoring all the time through
Hmm.
conversation, through
Hmm.
discovery. But in the pursuit of being polite, we are not going to shoo away somebody who's not our ICP or who has scored less on our lead scoring.
Yeah.
But over here, when we are talking of a very niche vertical events, then you know for a fact that, hey, all of them are going to be my ICP, and every person is a prospective 100K, 500K, million. So and the thing is that from cost effective perspective, it's cheaper, right? It's
Hmm.
more affordable to
Makes sense.
sponsor these ones. And over there, you will only have, and think about it, right? All the attendees, let's say this intelligent automation week, it's sponsored, it's created by a company called SSON, which is Shared Services Network, which is very specific into shared services. They only do events and they are in touch with all the people who we want to sell to. So we'll only go ahead and we just signed off like a very, very massive budget we allocated to only sponsoring SSO. So the what happens is also repeatability happens in terms of their attendees. That the attendee who might have come for in Florida, he's now coming in Dallas as well, right? Because
Hmm.
and in the US, people travel for conferences. People travel to attend conferences, right? So that's where I realize I think vertical events make more sense than just going like really horizontal. When you go to a horizontal, you feel that, oh, I've talked to so much people, but at the end of the day, are they converting? The chances are limited for that.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely makes sense. I think this is such a great insight, and this is something that I'd never thought about. In fact, the company that I just mentioned about, they are visiting the Dubai AI Festival, the AI Week, 24th to 26th, I believe. But I do hear what you're saying because I was at a similar AI event and I understood and analyzed that it's become a bit of an entertainment point as well, because a lot of people are, and you're right, you can't turn around people. Like you can't, like you won't be able to let go of someone or not give them enough respect because you're also representing your brand. So those are some powerful statements.
Yeah.
Is there a toolkit around the event? Do you set up like a CRM? Do you have scanners? Are you just depending on the event giving you those scanning cards? Are you incentivizing people on the stall? Like, is there a small playbook or a toolkit that you like to do something
Yeah.
innovative?
Yeah. So as much as we are a horizontal platform, right, we really want to break it, or we really want to concentrate on two, three use cases when we are going over there. Right. And like talking about my stall setup, you'll always have three laptops showing all those three demos at all times, and very well published case studies only about those three ones, right? And we are ruthlessly prioritizing. If anybody's asking something else, even if we have a solution, we don't want to get mingled it in this kind of a database what we are managing. There is of course scoring which happens at the end based on the leads what we've collected. There is, and you know what, a lot of people think that their initial conversation can't merge into a discovery call or a discovery conversation. Whereas I always try to press for some kind of a discovery parameters, right? Like which I have like a yes or no checklist. The moment that happens, I know that, at the end, I know the urgency, I know the budget, and I know the, who's the decision maker. That's the three things what I want to derive out of the conversation. So at the end of the day, it is conversational, but again, we build an AI agent also for it, which will, you take a photograph of the visiting card, it will go, it will search about that person
Yeah,
online,
you enrich it, and yeah, yeah.
it'll make a nice summary of it, and then it will also update my CRM for it, right? So this is
What
how
CRM are you on?
we are on HubSpot.
Okay, nice, nice. We've been users of HubSpot for almost 3-4 years, but
Yeah.
we moved out recently. But yeah, that's a
So where did you move out to?
another story. Well, we experimented a lot. Finally, we built a combination of tools, but Zoho looked like gave us a lot of flexibility, and we were optimizing for where we had the flexibility, and we were trying to optimize costs as well. From an Indian standpoint, and I'll be honest, like HubSpot, we got stuck because our calls were being made from HubSpot, and changes in the Indian regulations, TRAI, stopped them from making any calls. Right, that was the breakpoint number one. Breakpoint number two was WhatsApp. In India, it's super important. Like, and we have a lot of customer base in India, and even in GCC, in Europe, in London, WhatsApp becomes almost more important than emails. HubSpot was charging almost 15x or about 10x of the price that Zoho would charge for a WhatsApp message. So we kind of like we analyzed a lot of these parameters, and then there was another issue which I still distinctly remember. They might have fixed it. Their knowledge based product still did not have AI RAG. Like, there was nothing. So that was like these points just kept on stacking on top of each other, and we were like, okay, you know what, like, it doesn't work. We are compromising too much, and we are just connecting too many third party tools to make all of this happen.
In fact, it's such a shame because Breeze, for example, which was supposed to be their AI assistant, it is, I don't know whether Dharmesh Shah will listen to this or not, but it is
We hope
pathetic.
he does.
Yeah, yeah, and he should hear this out, right? He's in the pursuit of building agent.ai, but I think agentic capabilities
On
within
HubSpot, yeah,
are so mediocre, right? I can ask
agreed.
Breeze to create a contact, but the same action, if I ask to delete it, it won't delete it. It's
Yeah,
like,
I have a podcast coming with the founder of Folk CRM.
yeah,
So we like Folk is they're fixing what's wrong with CRMs. They auto update, they do tons of stuff. They've raised a bunch of money because CRMs is I think they're a superpower for any GTM playbook, right? I mean, you need to have the right CRM powering the base of your entire playbook. I recommend anybody a CRM even when they have 5 prospects in the pipeline. Like if a new business has just started, I recommend it to schools, I recommend it to SMEs. I think CRM is a must in today's time, and people don't realize it. You'll be surprised. Like I've met Fortune 500 companies, this is super funny, who have maintained Excel sheets of their prospects. So this
we deal with a lot of Excel ourselves, right? So it's CRM has become hygiene, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you can put CRMs anywhere. You want to put it on ClickUp, you want to put it
Oh
on,
yes, Notion.
yeah. So all these things. HubSpot, unfortunately, we got locked into HubSpot. But one thing what we are actually trying to do, and I'll tell you, for example, what does an agentic HubSpot looks like, right? I see if that is available. I was just playing around with it because see, when you're frustrated with uh, you know such great CRM companies, which once upon a time used to be,
I mean, the benchmarks, almost the benchmark. They invented inbound marketing.
yeah.
It's been a great product. I completely agree with that, and there's no doubt about that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, you have to be super agile in today's time, and especially after AI came in, I think you have to. The battles become a fierce battle.
Yeah, it's a bloodbath out there, right? Like, and you cannot afford to literally, lose your guard in terms of it, right? So
Yeah.
it's, and I just show you something what we've kind of built it on HubSpot itself. One sec. It's literally that you can talk to your HubSpot. Okay, I'll just
Wow.
send.
Nice.
You can say that, hey, I had a meeting with Norish. I discussed this. This is my use.
Yeah.
Just find from my Google Drive what are the relevant use cases and just send it to them.
Yeah. But you should check out Folk and a couple of other CRMs that people are building from scratch now. They're kind of taking care of a lot of that stuff.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's just about building from scratch versus trying to make it retrofit models with AI. Like it's just not easy, right? I mean, I have always loved the iPad for being built from scratch, grounds up for being a touch device, whereas Windows was trying to retrofit touch,
Yeah.
which never picks up, because your icons and everything kind of needs to be in that purview. But yeah, I think so. I loved your insight about how events can be a cornerstone of a good GTM strategy, especially in this space. And what I loved about it, which I did not know before I got into this conversation, a
Mhm.
horizontal play in AI, like what you're trying to do. I love the fact that how you tailor your approach and you nail down the perfect ICP with case studies and use cases, because that's the toughest bit horizontal plays cannot get right. So I think it's a brilliant kind of strategy. And now a few questions for from an investor perspective. When I look at the website of Supervity, think about the business model. It's a tough question. If I was raising tons of money, it would get this question for sure. Why a horizontal play? Because whenever I've spoken to like a large marquee fund, they're like, you've got to be serving one particular micro niche and nail it down and rule it before you make a horizontal play come into action. So what's your take on that usually?
Yeah. No, so I'll be very honest, right? Like we think about this question quite a bit, right? Like we've been funded by some really good investors. And at the same time, we are very horizontal and it frustrates us as well, right? It's not by design. We are horizontal. It's by, and I'm being completely candid over here, it's by the virtue of being opportunistic. We are horizontal. Right, it's like a bloody selling vanilla ice cream. I can go on top of a mango and I can go inside a brownie at the same time. The positioning, what we realized soon, we assumed was service as a software, right?
Mm.
And service as a software, if I'm looking at any, and over here now that I'm competing with the large IT shops of the world, right?
Yeah, yeah,
In
yeah.
India, Infosys, Wipro, nobody really asks them that, hey, you know what? Why did you not go vertical?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? Because at the end of the day, they were a service shop. They're an IT service shop. We are also a service as a software, right? Like, and the best analogy I like to give is that we build out a kitchen. You come over here and you say that what dish you want to eat,
Mm.
and we will cook it out for you. Also, at the same time, we have some menu card items, which is always ready in our oven. You ask for it and you'll get it immediately. And the third thing is that, hey, if you don't have a kitchen to operate, right, for a couple of companies, we are also doing it, right? Like we've just become their AI innovation team, right? Where the CIO and everybody is just telling our team to, can you help us build this, which again is service as a software as well. So all these three models work in tandem as long as they get revenue, right?
Mm.
And revenue wise it's great, so as long as they get get us revenue, I don't think that, I still remember I was talking to one of the most prolific partners of our country and had a very long conversation about this as well, right? And I still recall he saying that, Umkar, go after a tree, don't go after a forest, all these kind of things. And over there, I did not feel that the era what we are in right now, the AI agent or the agentic AI era, I think it will be very myopic to think about a tree and go after it. But having said that, there are some agents which are cash cows for us. And we always kind of double down on those, right? So for example, the cash cows for us are account processing, accounts receivable. But for example, when we get good design partners, right? Large enterprises, they say that, Omkar, you've done a great job with this agent. Can you help us build this other agent? And when we recognize that they are great design partners, then it's worthwhile to kind of, build and invest with them. And then that account is like a couple of $1 million account, right? You get three of those. That's a pre-series A, or that's even like a series A for a lot of companies.
Wow. Wow. I think you do make some solid points. We can't look at the future with the lens of the past. I mean, Infosys is a great point in case that if they took 30, 40 years to get where they are, I mean, with AI, I think it's going to take some company to play a similar horizontal dev shop, AI shop play and get there in like 10, which is a venture return window possibility, right? I mean, that's how I would just put it. So, no, I like what you're saying. And I think I'm convinced that the way you pinpoint some of these use cases, I think it is a possibility. And I mean, I love the way you're kind of playing this and so many learnings there. I want to ask something about the pricing bit here as well. So is the pricing per usage, per resolution? You have so many agents. How do you price yourself? Like how do you price the product?
Yeah. So again, it is what we like to call, so pricing is two-way pricing, right? So one is Papa. Papa is plug and play agents, right? So plug and play agents are right off the shelf. You want to do something, let's say this, the account research. I'll share the account also, right? Account research, you want to get one deep account research done based on your company. It's about $10, right? Now for a
Per
large,
use.
yeah, so it is based on usage, right? For a large enterprise, they don't like going through usage because it's unpredictable also at the same time, right? So, it's all right to kind of,
Maybe you can can it. I mean, so you can it, and how do you solve that problem?
yeah, so it's again, it's pure urgency based selling, right? How urgent do they need it? Directly proportional to the price. So if it is urgent, the price goes up. So there is no standard pricing, but still at the same time, we have standardized pricing for solutions, right? So for example, if you want to purchase our accounts payable AI agent, it will service 1,000 invoices per day. You have to buy it for 1 year, and it's gonna cost you whatever 800K, 700K for the entire year, right? Then you can also look at a transformation package, right? So for example, my finance and accounting, I want to buy your vendor due diligence, I want to bundle all the AI agents and then kind of take it. Then again, it's like a million and a half. That's the kind of, so essentially I'm purchasing a AI workforce for my entire finance team. So we bill according to that. One of the things what's been working very well is, so for example, we deal with a lot of uh, governments in the US, right? A lot of the US Army is a customer of ours. The US Navy is a customer of ours. A couple of counties are a customer of ours. Over there, the pricing is fairly simple. Firstly, it's all partner-led pricing over here. So again, coming back to my first point, these are the players we'll never be able to punch above our weight. We always have to piggyback on large partners to go ahead and reach there. Over there, it's completely based on units, right? So how many units are getting processed? A unit will be the same thing about a report, right? That a unit will be this, a unit will be that, all these kind of things. So that's by the way, talking about the report, are you excited to see how can you pitch to NHS?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Let's have a look.
Can you see
Okay,
my screen?
I can.
So it created a 147-page detailed
Oh
report,
my God.
right? And one second, I just, right. So this is NHS UK for you, Nourish. So it will give me basic information.
Mhm.
It will give me vision analysis, management strategy, crisis management. What are they doing in digital
Okay.
transformation, right? So let's go click over here that, what are their strategic goals? And over here, I'm giving a source for everything. Unlike your, regular LLMs, what is the rationale behind what we are saying? So we're talking about patient empowerment. We're talking about efficiency and productivity. We're talking about pandemic lessons, right? They're looking at something called digitize, which is achieving core capabilities of ICS, so on and so forth. The goal was 90% by 2023. So, these are great talking points for me.
Mm,
Now,
yeah, yeah.
the moment I go and I'll show you, if I click on account strategy, it will give me a very good, tailored, very detailed report on what should Nourish do, right? So I click on strategy. So it is telling me what the target company is, who's the current CEO, who's the national medical director. CDO roles may have evolved with the NHS digital, approximate core business summary, but does not generate revenue because it's publicly funded. So now you see it started giving me strategic implications
Mm,
for Nourish, right? So there is a significant investment which has been committed to long-term workforce plan. It's about
mm.
2.4 billion. Nourish Academy Builder could be positioning to doubling of this medical school places, expansion of
Nice.
training, right? This aligns with their whole grow, train, and upskill the workforce at scale.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
results at it, right? It's going to tell me what are the kind of capital expenditures they are doing and how can Nourish be included in those ones. It's telling me initiatives, right? So there is something called train, retain, reform. What is the stated goal? The address projected staff shortfall is this. What is the potential for Nourish alignment? You provide the digital infrastructure, hosting and delivered for apprenticeship routes, CPD delivery and tracking you can
Yeah, yeah.
facilitate, right? Then again, they have another initiative called Digitize Connect
Oh,
Trans.
this is good stuff, man. Like I mean, I've been thinking about this, and we've just kind of got a indirect route into NHS through a client of ours, but I can see some really powerful way that this has kind of tailored the information for us. So super good.
And over here, then later you'll also get like, what kind of targets you should start chasing, right? From 2025 to 2027.
Mm.
What is the rationale and goal for Nourish over here?
Nice. Wow. Wow. Cool stuff. This is cool stuff. Look, I'm fairly excited about the possibility of how companies would be able to apply this. And this is I would pay $10 for this for sure. I'm not wiring that money to you, by the way, because I'll get the report for free. But yeah, my point is that I get it. Like I get it why companies at a certain scale would be super keen to do that. So makes a lot of sense. And I think I love the way your GTM is kind of structured right now. It makes total sense looking at the product and the kind of audience that you're going after. And I know as a matter of fact, it's a black box to go after these type of audiences. And I think Supervity seems to be kind of getting this right. It's been such a pleasure, Omkar. I kind of love talking to you about your GTM and all these lessons, and really appreciate the time you took. I'm waiting for this report. Look forward to it, and love to kind of see you guys grow into the future of what Infosys could be with AI. But I think it's the new time, new generation. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking out the time.
Perfect. Thank you for being such a wonderful host. It's always, I'm not saying this out of courtesy, but like genuine. We've known each other for close 4 years now, and it's always, always a delight talking to you. So thank you so much for having